let's just go with what we got here. Guys, hey, glad to have you here. It is a Monday. Let's start it off fresh here since it's now 12 minutes after the hour. We're in the lunch hour right now, Monday, March 29th. Glad to have you guys here for my live stream. You will see my screen. You will not see me on this session, and I'm not going to waste your time anymore. My plan here for, the next hour or so is I want to do a kind of a concise view of stocks, bonds, currencies, commodities. We're going to look at cryptocurrency. We're going to go into something called the morning report. This is something brand new. I'm working on it. It's still kind of in alpha beta test. I don't know if it's out of alpha and back into beta. But in any event, you're going to see what we've been working on, looking at individual options, not overall options. So very cool things. And then what we'll do today is we'll do a focus on oil, USO oil stocks, and get an idea of whether we see this buy the rumor, sell the news thing being anything more than that. All right. So there we go. Again, glad to have you guys here. Let's get started. So this, what you see on the screen right now, and I can blow all this up and down, all right, because there's nothing I hate worse than looking at a live stream on YouTube and not being able to see, because I imagine, just give me a quick gut check here, guys. How many of you are watching this live stream on your phone, on a smart device, like a phone or a tablet? Because unless you've got a screen that's, I got a 32-inch screen in front of me, I can see everything. But unless you've got a 32-inch screen or something big, then if you're looking at it on a phone, then I could see where, you might have trouble seeing what it is, what chart we're looking at. So if you're on a laptop, you're on a tablet, a little bit better, but I'm going to work this thing in and out, and we'll be able to, so whether you're on a phone, whether you're on a smart tablet, whatever, it's there. Also in the replay, I'm going to be leaving some special links at the bottom for free trading reports. Also, a look at our software. You'll be able to check that out. We do a full trial on the software as well that I'll be using. And so everything you'll see today, with the exception of brokerage firm sites, we're going to give you some access to. So let's go ahead and get started. As we're in the month of March, what's going to be coming up here? It's already starting. It's just no one's talking about it. Is that we're now in the Q1 earnings cycle. We'll hear more about Q1 earnings as we move forward. All right, but let's go ahead and start talking about what we see here on the screen. So let me blow it up here real quick, guys. SPY is the very first thing I'm starting with. S&P 500, this is going to be kind of the benchmark that we work from. And when you see where I'm working here, guys, when you see what I'm working with, I've got candlestick charts on. The only reason I use them, I'm not a big candlestick trader. There are many candlestick traders out there, but if you have a setup where you're looking at candles, like Jay, who works with us over here at TTR, he uses candlesticks. I use them for visual purposes. Now, you could put anything you want on the screen. The red line you see here, the red line is, to me, as important, if not more important, than the actual chart itself. Because as an option trader, the red line there is really for our implied volatility. This is implied volatility. This is what we look at, all right, as option traders to get an idea whether we want to be buying options or selling options. So, all right. As you can see here, S&P 500, we are getting very close to hitting those all-time highs. It just occurred about 2 weeks ago, up near the 397.5 area. All right, I have a big resistance number sitting at around 400. There's channels that tell us that resistance is at 400. It's also a round number, so keep that in mind as we are, still continuing to try to hit that 400 number here on SPY. What may make the market go higher? Low interest rates. That's something that can make the market go higher for sure. The other thing we can look at is we can look at the fact that if we're in a low interest rate environment, where else is your money going to go to work for you to maximize returns. It's not going to be sitting in a bank account. It's not going to be sitting in the U.S. dollar, even though the U.S. dollar is actually at a 1-month high. It's still far off the highs that we saw last year. I'll get to that in a moment. Right. So when I look at this chart, I see higher highs and higher lows. The trend is up. Let's look at the trend. I want to go in and look at this chart a couple of different ways. Now, I can go into the actual stock chart type over here. And I'm going to go look at, let's take a look at right now, channels. So I'm going to update this with channels. And we can see here that this is one way to look at channels. And what we do here is we look at standard deviations. But we see that the channel is definitely to the upside. But if I want to look at channels, look at short, intermediate, and long-term channels and where they are, then I'm going to come down here a little bit farther. And I've got something called channel test, where we can do a stress test on the channels, and we can actually look at them in more than one scope. So with our tools, we have the ability to focus on the long-term up, but we'll also look at short and intermediate term channels as well. So what does all of this information tell me? It tells me, take a look here, you've got a long-term downtrend channel. You know what I need? I need a bigger mouse. Let's get that sucker going. Long-term downtrend channel that's rising. I also have an intermediate channel. That's the support level. That's also slowly rising. Notice these two are coming together. You know where they're coming together at? Around the 370 to 375 area. Let's call it 372.5. That is a good line as these two come together, and it's probably going to be another week or so. They're going to come together, and they're going to offer a really nice channel support. Where is channel resistance? Well, that's easy to look at too. Notice that the area here we're coming up on is 400. The next level is 410. Now, if I come over here and I look closely, you'll see we're trading right, just above 395. So that 397 area. Here's 400. Here's 410. Take a look at this the middle part of this channel. We call this the mean. All right. So the mean part of the long-term channel is, if things continue going the way they are, is going to intersect with the top side of the short and intermediate term. So long-term up, short and intermediate term is a little bit higher up. This area is around the 408 category. So these two could intersect around 408. Right? So we are looking at longer-term support down here. And, and where's down here once again? Right at about the 375 level. And then 408 looks like the area of resistance where we're seeing channel collisions happening. Right? So these are some new, some numbers you may want to write down, because they make a lot of sense to me, because it's more than just, I think it's going up or I think it's going down. All right? The one thing that I don't want to do here on a live stream is just sit here and look at charts and go, oh, look, it's going up, or going down. There's plenty of people on live streams on YouTube that do that. I'd rather try to teach you something in the process. So that's the S&P. Now, we want to connect some of these together. And this is long-term. As you can see, we're looking at daily charts going back to October. So what's happening today? All right. So today, I got a couple of things going on. Over here in this area, I'm running a little robot thing I've been playing around with. But basically what it does is it looks at a couple of things. We're looking at a count of higher highs versus higher lows. I've also got some areas on here where we see rotation. All right, so the rotation is the dotted line. It just basically tells me if we're rotating up versus rotating down. And then, of course, down at the bottom, I'm running a P&L. So I'm just doing some testing here. But the one to the right is the one that we look at. And so this kind of tells me where the opening range is for the hour. So if you take a look at opening range, the opening range for this hour, and this is these are both 15-minute bars. So I'm going to blow this one up so everyone can see it. The opening range for the hour shows that the SPY came down to around, and I'm talking about between 9:30 and 10:30 this morning, Eastern Standard Time. S&P 500 dropped down to a low of 393.11. The high was at 395.71. That was around the open. Since then, we dragged against this low all the way out here into the first, about 11:30, and then started kind of rebounding. Now we're pulling back down. This area of support, if this gets retested, this whole screen is going to go red, and it's going to suggest that the market really does want to continue to pull back. And we'll see where that ends up happening, but it gets stronger as we go farther and farther out into the afternoon. So I find that looking at the first hour of the day and then see where the market is after lunch, and is it above the first hour of the day high? That's great. That means that we're seeing a lot of renewed buying coming in after lunch hour. But if we're down below that first hour day low, and that's happening after lunch, then weakness is still setting in throughout the day. All right, so I just thought I'd share that with you here very quickly as we're kind of talking about the difference between what we see with long-term and what we see with short-term charts. Now, as option traders, most of the time, at least for me, I'm looking at daily charts to get perspective. All right, so far what we see with the S&P is that even though the short terms seem to be a little bit negative, the long-term charts are still pointing upwards. All right, so let's move on, and I'm going to move us now to the bond market. Now, the bond market has been literally in a free fall, and this has been happening really since election day back in November. So in November, we were trading just around election day. We were trading above 160, and we did a drop and then a pop that took us into the middle of November and almost came back to 160, but then started to trend down. And as you can see, the trend down that we see both in the long-term channel down and in the short term, they're both moving in the same direction. This tells us that there is a strong possibility that bonds are going to continue down. And as bonds continue down, yields continue up. If we go back down and we take out the lows that happened almost 2 weeks ago down here where TLT was trading below 135, it was in the 133s, then the prospect of higher interest rates are going to start creeping into the market. And as this goes lower, now typically when the bond market goes lower, that means traders are pulling money out of the bond market and putting it to work in the stock market. But when we get a trend to the downside, it means that there's a possibility that interest rates are going to start creeping higher. And as interest rates creep higher, think about all the ramifications that could happen. Short-term borrowing costs for businesses are going to go higher. All right. More importantly, mortgage rates, the 30-year mortgage is going to start ticking up. And what you'll see is, I think you'll see one of two things. First, you'll see a demand as home buyers are going to rush in to try to lock in rates. And then that's going to stop if rates continue to go higher, because then people are going to say, all right, now rates are going higher. I can't afford this type of monthly house payment, so I'm going to wait. And that could put a damper on the hot, sizzling home market as we see it. All right, so now I'm going to get to, the top story going on. As you can see it going across my screen at the bottom. Maybe you can't read that, but Suez Canal traffic resumes. All right, the Ever Given is ever moving again. And so I believe that, and we'll see it here in a moment, we're going to see what that relates to with oil prices. But before we do that, let's move forward. So stock market's still trending up, bond market's trending down, but if the bond market takes a hold of stocks, all right, bonds before stocks is what we like to call it here. If the bond market starts trending, continues to trend lower, we could see a sell-off in the stock market. Cash. All right, so take a look at what's going on with the cash market. Now, long-term cash has been going down. If you take a look at where the U.S. dollar, or UUP, which is what we're looking at right now. This is UUP. This is the Power Shares Double Dollar Index. Now, UUP last year at this time was trading around 29. It dropped all the way down to a low of around close to 24 before rebounding a bit. You can see here that UUP, the Power Shares Index, what it's been doing recently is it's been kind of forming more of a bottom formation, right? And when I say bottom, we've been channeling since November. But now, literally since about mid-February, the short-term trend has been higher. Now, we've got some collisions that are going to be potentially happening up here around $25.20 to around $25.40. That's where we hit long-term resistance, intermediate-term resistance, and even short-term resistance. So there's a couple of areas where we could see some intersects. Now, where the intersecting buyers are going to look at that are channel traders are right down here around 25.5, because that's a good area for support for the US dollar, right? So from there, we can see the US dollar is definitely making, and as you can see, it's at 1 month highs. It's at, well, I wouldn't say 2 month highs, but since the end of February, we've bottomed and moved higher. And off the lows that occurred back at the beginning of the year, we're now sitting on highs. We are on highs for 2021 as we speak, right? I would want to see a move up for the US dollar or UUP. I'd want to see us break above this resistance before I really started getting nervous about the stock market correcting. Because if bonds are going down and rates are going up, what's the US dollar doing? And is it telling us something too? Next, USO. All right. This is USO, and you can see USO has just literally been, this was a $25 instrument back in October, around October 30th. It's gone from $25 to above 44 before having a swift pullback. Now, I want to show you right here where things get interesting. Things got interesting right here when we hit both the long-term and the intermediate-term support levels. We actually hit them twice. Right down here around the price tag at that time was about 39. Since then, we've jumped off that. Now, we have hit, we're getting close to resistance as this Suez Canal kind of blockage has pushed the price of USO and the price of oil higher. So when I look at this, I kind of think, all right, well, is this an area where if we break above this, we could resume higher? Think about oil for a moment. You got two catalysts that are long happening right now. That is, the Suez Canal has blocked oil from being delivered from port to port, and a lot of ships have been re-navigated to go around the tip of Africa to get around the other end. All right, it takes twice as long to get around the tip of Africa and back up than it does going through the Suez Canal. And so, but the problem is that, it's kind of like, well, I'll tell you what it's kind of like. It's kind of like me sitting on I-4 at Orlando trying to figure out a way around the Disney World traffic, which is what I was doing this weekend. My wife and I went across I-4 to the east side. No problem getting across at 7 a.m. in the morning. But then we were coming back after 1 o'clock, went out for some lunch, coming back after 1 o'clock, and everything was just blocked up. And I'm trying to try to navigate my way back to Sarasota. And it just, unfortunately, I had to sit in that traffic. And that's what a lot of ships are doing right now. They're sitting in the Suez Canal waiting to be the next one, next in line. Now they know this thing is moving. And so they're saying to themselves, do I turn around and head back down around the tip of Africa, or do I just wait and see and get through, because at least we know it's moving? That's what's happening there. Now, that is a plus. I think that's a short-term positive for oil. But remember, oil, we're thinking about oil. We're also thinking about, take a longer lunch. That makes sense, French. But and that's what a lot of these ship captains are doing right now, is they're trying to figure out, do I sit or do I turn and go? By the time they turn and go or come back around, they're going to see the same guy in front of them coming out of the port of the Suez Canal as they're right back. They'll be neck and neck again. So, the problem is you're just wasting more time, you're wasting more fuel. So, short-term bull for USO. But you know what the long-term bull for USO is? The pattern we're in right now. That's a seasonal pattern, all right? Buy in February, sell in May, or sell in July. 5-month pattern, mid-February to mid-July. And hey, I wish it was a mid-October to mid-July, but it's not. It was a mid-February, which is where we are right here, to mid-July. So that's a longer-term pattern. But I do think we could see some short-term pullbacks now that the Suez Canal has been reopened, right? So, again, sell the news. Do we sell the news, or do we buy the longer-term seasonal pattern that we've dropped back down to? Again, it's time will tell. GLD, I'm hearing now that a lot of traders are getting out of the yellow metal. And the reason they're getting out of the yellow metal is because they feel like they don't need it so much as a safe haven. And so that's why you're seeing gold and GLD fall off like it is. Back to GLD, the highs that we've seen in the last few months have been around 184. It happened back in November. It happened again at the beginning of the year. 184 was the high. We dropped down to as low as the high 150s before rebounding, but it looks like we're falling back over again. And we talked about this not too long ago. It may have been in a podcast. But I'm telling you guys, take a look at USO or GLD. GLD is looking pretty weak. We're sitting on some areas of support. If we don't come back off these support levels, then I see 155 and below 155 as the next horizon for GLD. That's if you are a trader. I am a longer-term owner of GLD, and a longer-term holder of physical gold. So I have another agenda for gold. So to me, short-term bear, longer-term, and I mean mega longer-term bull. Let's move on. Let's take a look at FANG. Because FANG has been out of favor of late, and this morning it looked like it was going to be out of favor again, but we'll take a look at each of these, and then we're going to draw some distinction between the F in FANG, the A's in FANG, the N and the G in FANG. All right, and we'll throw a Tesla in there to boot. All right, so take a look here, and you can see that Facebook actually finally came back and hit a high. In fact, it's been about a week ago, it was as high as it's ever been, tagged 300 before falling back into the 280 area. It is up on the day. So even though the long term is slightly down and the intermediate term is almost sideways, we started pulling some short-term bullishness happening right now. Where is the support? Or the resistance, 295 to 300. That's the resistance on Facebook. 295 because that's where all these channels are hitting. 300 because, well, that's where the price of Facebook was last week. Moving on. Take a look at Apple. Apple's not having, it's pulling FANG down as a group. As Apple saw highs at the beginning of the year, back in January, around the 145 area. All right, so here's 145. Take a look. Long-term still was up when you look at the long-term chart. But when you look at intermediate, sideways, and most recently we've seen a downtrend that started back around the end of January. And the low happened about, we'll call it 3 weeks ago. The low came in for the year, not back here, but for this year, 2021, the low was around 116 and change. We've been bouncing off 120, as you can see. But the short-term chart still looks like it remains to be seen where it's going to go. There's a lot happening down here around 110. That's a great area of support. I myself, will be a buyer of Apple, or a buyer of calls, or a seller of puts. I'm going to be doing something bullish on Apple if we get down around the 110 area, because I really believe that's where a lot of people are just going to lose face with Apple, and we'll see a lot of sellers come out. Right, so that's where I see Apple as a really great buying opportunity. That's long term. As a trader, we look for rules. What kind of rules do we look for? Well, I'm going to go back through this once again, and I'm going to show it to you in a different category. All right. Okay, so moving on. Let's take a look at Amazon. Almost looked at Apple, Amazon, almost the same chart. All right, Apple's high was the end of January. Amazon's high was also right at the beginning of February. They had their high, by the way, that was when they announced earnings. And if you remember, Amazon actually doubled their EPS. I'm trying to remember, their earnings per share was somewhere around $7. They came in at 14. And so, but big turnaround for Amazon at moving lower, and we bounced off the 34, around 3,440. Dropped all the way down to 2,900, which I believe is the right below 3,000. That's your resistance. And now we're trading above 30.50 right now. Where does Amazon go? Long and short are not in an uptrend anymore. They haven't been in an uptrend. You know, has Amazon lost its luster? I mean, they are the biggest company, if not one of the biggest companies on the planet. and therefore there may be the rewards may not be worth the risk in Amazon, which is why you're seeing rotation out of Amazon. Short-term chart is definitely down. Where are the supports for Amazon buyers? 3,000 is a round number support. Then you got to go down here just below 29.50 because that's where the long-term support is right now. And long-term support is going to be met if this trend continues with this short-term median or mean line. Those are going to come down and they're going to meet somewhere around 2025, 2030 to give a multi-channel support, if you will. Nflx, Nflx. Let's take a look at it real quick. As you can see, this one has the longer term chart going up, but it's seen better days as it hit highs when it reported earnings. And you can see here, their earnings were actually less than expectations, but their subscriber growth actually shocked a few people, which is why you saw that big pop that happened. Since then, it's kind of been lower highs and lower lows. And we've got channel lines all over the place. So let's take a look and see if we can find something in this minutia. And all you got to do is just go over here to the hard right. Think about 540 and think about 470. Let's talk 540 first. 540 is the point in where you're seeing this short-term resistance and this longer-term median resistance coming together. And then down here, remember what I said, we look at 470. Well, 470 is the area where we see support. Look, long, intermediate, and short-term support all coming in right in that 470, 475 area for Nflx. All right, so take a look at that as you will. We got two more to look at, and then I'm going to rewind. We're going to look at this a little bit in a little bit different way. So let's take a look at Google. All right, so here's Google. One of the best charts in FANG, but look what it's been doing lately. I mean, since February, it's gone nowhere. It's just literally gotten to a little bit of a very small pattern, tight pattern. We were tight over here. We were tight in November and December, and then the breakout occurred. We just broke out and then got tight again. But this tightness has been going lower and lower, slowly lower. All right, so where is the support? Well, 2,000 has been the support, as you can see this happening with Google. All right, 2,000 has been that area of support. It's been hitting it. I don't know. When you knock on support this many times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, you break below that support. We could see a breakout back down to the area that we see here, which is the lower support at 1,900. All right, then you've got 1,800 support. I mean, you can just count them off. But this area right down here around 1,900 provides some really good multi-level support. As we're seeing support from the intermediate channel, the long-term channel, as those two are coming together, or actually are together right now. Finally, let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla, TSLA. Okay. The winners. Well, anybody that got Tesla long ago before it just went crazy upside. But as you can see here, back in October, we were trading at 400. And then by the end of the year, this stock was up to above 800. So it doubled between in 2 months. In 60 days, it doubled. Right? Well, what's happened since then? Well, since then, we've seen an earnings report, and we've seen this thing kind of wobble back and forth between 800 and 900. Then we started the descent down. And as you see these big numbers, these pops up, this is where you hear Cathie Wood coming in and purchasing more Tesla for the ARK fund. All right, so that happened back here at the end of February. Happened again around mid-March, where we saw that buy up again too. But Tesla's been ever since sliding. So one has to think, I think about this and I think, well, is it possible that, hear me out on this one, is the Reddit crowd on the short side? No, the Reddit crowd's not on the short side. But is it possible that there are other hedge funds that are starting to lean into the short side of Tesla, knowing what they know, that Cathie Wood and the ARK group have so much capital devoted to this stock? I don't know, but what I do know is this. There's a lot of support that's below where the current price is, right? looking at the channels, this tells me the next stop is going to be 550 to the 500 to 550 category, because that's where all the support is when you look at these multi-channels. And if you ask any Elliott Wave trader, and I know a few, they're going to tell you this move right here is just a precursor. When you see the pullbacks to 700, that the next move down could be down in the 500 and even lower range, just by looking at the chart of Tesla. Now, some of you might be looking at me thinking that something's wrong with me, that Tesla's going to be $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, as some analysts are projecting. Hey, that might be true, all right? I would not want to go against Tesla as a long trader, as a long-term investor. But as a short-term trader, I have to go with what my rules-based strategies are telling me, all right? So let's look at this all again. But I want to look at it one more time. And I'm going to do something I've never done in here before, is with our community. So I want to talk about something we call darknet channels. All right. So what are darknet signals? So darknet signals are basically signals where we see exactly that. The computer is looking at long-term, it's looking at short-term, it's looking at intermediate-term channels, and it's looking for buying opportunities. So of everything I've shown you today, are there any buying opportunities with darknet on the world's most popular stocks and indices? Let's take a look at what we see. All right. So again, and I should have something to show you here as we go through some of these. I see nothing on the screen right now. By the way, these Ds, for any of you that might be curious, that's just dividend splits on the entire S&P 500. TLT. All right. So TLT has had a darknet buy. And the most recent one you see right here around 150, and it's got a rebuy in at 140. So these are channel tests. And I'm amazed that we don't have another, because we can go as 3 deep. Remember, long, short, intermediate. We can go as 3 deep on the channels as well. And so this one's one that's in progress and actually losing a bit in progress because, again, nothing is 100%. UUP had a sell signal back here. All right, so that means that we had a buy signal before the chart. I've got nothing showing buy signals on darknet right now for the UUP. If we go to USO, let's take a look. Okay, so the last signal we had on USO was a rebuy back down here around 25. That was a nice signal as the sell came up here above 31. So a nice little move to the upside, but nothing since then because we're not coming down, we're not hitting channel support. You know, when a market's going higher like this, it's hard to find short, intermediate, and long-term support. Something that is colliding. Channel collisions, if you will. We haven't seen any channels collisions on USO since last year. All right, how about gold? Well, we had a buying opportunity on gold back at the end of the year, but then it turned around and sold shortly after that for really only about a 3-point move. Since then, no channel collisions that we see in GLD or in any gold areas. Let's move on into FANG, Facebook. Buy, rebuy, sell, really nothing going on here. But more importantly, nothing going on presently. I'm looking for present signals. Aha. Okay, so we do have a buy signal that came in on Apple, and it was right down here just around the 120 area. And we're literally at break even on this. If we call this 120, 121, 122, and we're around 121 right now. So just a bit off that signal. So we're still showing a darknet buying signal on Apple. How about Amazon? All right, Amazon's had all kinds of signals. There was a sell over here. Here's a buying at 30.50. Here's a sell above about, let's call it 31.20. Got a buy over here around 31.75 and a sell that came in just above 32. We had the buy that came after the big drop down. Sell happened shortly after, so a small loss there. Here's your buy signal on Amazon just above 3,000. It had a rebuy at just above 30.50, and it had a sell around 30.50, so that looks like really more of a break even. Nothing going on with Amazon as of today. So we do have an Apple bull that's happened with our darknet strategies. Netflix. Last signal we saw was a buy and a sell. Nothing new there. Google. A buy and a sell that happened late last year. Nothing since then. Tesla. Nothing at all. What gives us a darknet signal? Remember, darknet signals are when the computer spots the channel. All right? I don't have to see the channel. A lot of times channels are hard to see from the naked eye. That's what computer algorithms are for. So it does pull through and look at these channels, and from there, it will determine whether channels are colliding and whether we get a buy or sell signal. How long does a darknet signal last? On average, when we look at every single stock that's in the chart, about 30 days. It's about a 30-day trading strategy. It is available as part of our option tools. And once again, I mentioned this before. I'll put it in the description that any of you who've never tried our option tools before, get a free 2-week trial. You can find it in the description of any of our videos. Jay, if you're hanging out there with me and I see you, do you have that link, that free link? Can you post it? If you do, can you post it in the chat box for everybody, please, for the Trading Essentials 2-week free trial? That would be fantastic. Okay, so I have some other things I want to show you guys, but I just want to take a little quick break and kind of see what's going on here with the group. And I'm looking along here. Tesla's still trading above the $3,000 pre-split. And Justin, you're absolutely right. It is. And you know, I mentioned this. I mentioned this earlier that when you go back and you look at Tesla pre-split. I mean, one could say if someone says, "Hey, I have a $3,000 target on Tesla." Well, was that pre-split or was that after split? So if Kathy Wood now says it's going to go to 4,000, and let's say it's at pre-split 3,000, then is she basically saying that it has a chance of a 25 to 33% gain from where it is right now? Well, of course it does. I mean, if that's true, you take a look at the $600 level. Add 25% to 6. That puts us at 8. Add 33% to 6, and that puts us up to where we were before the last earnings announcement. So that's something to look at as well. Okay, now let's move over to. I want to show you guys something we're working on. All right, over here to kind of get an idea of where all the action is going based on options. So I call it the morning report, and we're still kind of in the process of making this more glitzy. But we're doing a piece with earnings and showing what's going on with earnings. For instance, let me update this to where we are right now, and you can see here this is Riot blockchain is the number one stock close change after earnings. So it popped up 8% after earnings, but I have a feeling that a lot of that has to do with what's going on with Bitcoin. So if I were to say go over here and let me do something with these charts here. Let's move this over. I see the markets are coming back. That's great. Right hand side, SPY. I'm going to look at Bitcoin futures right now. That's /BTC in the Thinkorswim platform, and you can see what's going on with Bitcoin today. There you go. Bitcoin's up now. Bitcoin futures are up nearly 8% today, even though the cash is only up about half that. Remember, the cash trades, Bitcoin itself trades on Saturdays and Sundays, so it's looking at its rate of change over the last 24 hours, where when you look at something that trades Monday through Friday and sits out the weekend, it's going to take the last Friday, and then where are we today? And you can see that Bitcoin, since last Friday has been up about 8%, and we've seen that happen. One of the big patterns I've been seeing going on with cryptocurrency, for those of you that are curious about it, is that cryptocurrency has a tendency to go up on the weekends more often than down. So if you take a look at Friday, and what I found is this. Now, there's no guarantee it's going to continue to happen. But if we see Friday afternoon as an up day, if we rally into Friday afternoon, chances are by Sunday night, by Sunday night when this particular market opens, or by Monday morning, let's just call it that we should see a bump in cryptocurrencies and in cryptocurrency stocks like Riot. If I throw Riot on the screen. Now, Riot was up this morning. It did have a bounce up to 52.75, but look what's happened since then. All right, it's outside of its first hour, so it's outside the first hour range, the first hour low and the first hour high, and because it's below that, that's why the chart is painting red on my screen. All right, so that's another piece I wanted to share with you. But getting back to our percent change after earnings. Okay, that's one thing we could look at. Is we could look at all these Chewy up 5%, Lululemon, all right, Paychex was up a little bit, but we've also got, and I've shown this to you before, is that each day we're going to be able to look at the options that are the most expensive and the options that are the cheapest in terms of implied volatility. Here's TME. TME right now, if you take a look, this is 1 year. This is the 1 year high in IV. So the options are expensive. These are the options that are most expensive right now. TME, VIPS, IQ, EDU, DISC A, Baidu, GSX, DISC K, ARDX, and Blue. All right, so these are all the most expensive options. And what you're going to find out is a lot of these options are traded off of NASDAQ stocks, all right, or stocks that are, let's just say these stocks are not they don't have the kind of volume that stocks like, if you take a look at the lows, look what the number one low is right now. SPY. That is the cheapest in terms of options implied volatility. Tells us the VIX has gotten very low. So what's going on here with the VIX? It's when the VIX is low, it's time to go. Is this a potential early warning signal to tell us that the stock market might be looking to sell off? Possibly. Then I see AMD in here. AMD's options were twice as expensive in the last year as they are right now. All right, VAE, CACC, IHI, GPI, FSH, PPH, DUK, Duke Energy, and GLD rounding out the bottom 10 cheapest options right now in terms of where their implied volatility is right now. Okay, so when I look at that, I come on over and I'm going to click on SPY, and it's going to show me there's the chart of implied volatility. Look where it has been at its highest just in the last 6 months. It happened, let's blow the chart up, it happened back in October, the end of October. The IV was trading up there near 40. Now, what was happening in the beginning of November that may have caused the IV to spike at the end of October? Election day. All right, and election day was happening, and then, of course, we came down after the election was over. We didn't know who the president was going to be at the end of October. We knew who the president was going to be after the November election, based on election results. And then the VIX came right back down and became a teenager again. I mean, literally within 2 weeks, 40, 16. This means that at-the-money calls and at-the-money puts basically dropped by more than half their value, their time value, within a couple of weeks. Now, we're still way below that. We've actually been below that even more until today. We saw a little bit of a bump up. So we have the ability to chart all of these off of something called the morning report. There's the morning report. How about AMD? AMD is one of those stocks that just, is constantly in the news. It's constantly being traded. Lately it's been Intel unveiled their big plan. They're making a comeback. Intel is back. And of course, what's going on with AMD? I don't think it's going to affect AMD's supply at all. Or their demand at all. I just think that we have a chip shortage right now, and Intel is looking to try to fill that void. But what happens with individual stocks is you see a spike in implied volatility right before the earnings announcement, and then it drops. In between earnings announcements, on average, is where the low IV ends up happening on these stocks. At earnings is when the high IV happens. Look at the last earnings report for AMD. Right before earnings, we were trading up near 89. Where are we now? 40. All right, so half the distance between what happened at the end of January and where we are right now. As we go into earnings for AMD, this is going to climb. Any of you that are call option buyers on AMD, all right, if you're buying ahead of earnings, as long as you're getting out before earnings, you're putting volatility on your side. Same thing if you're a put option trader. If you think AMD is going to take a hit, and you're buying puts ahead of earnings, as long as you're getting out before earnings, you are riding the wave of volatility, not the wave of price. And how do you ride the wave of volatility, but try to take price completely out of the equation? Well, that's what straddles are for. Buying out the money calls and buying out the money puts. Those give you the ability to ride that wave of volatility and eliminate direction. because one's going to go up and one's going to go down if the price if the price of AMD were to move. Right, so these are to me, these are as important, if not more important, charts than price charts. All right, let's move back into the morning report. Let's look at a couple of other things here. So as you can see here, I've got highest option volume. AMD's up here again. All right, I got highest open interest. AMD number 8. All right, if I were to kind of move along here, largest call option increase prices. I don't see AMD in the top 10. Largest put option prices. Well, you got price decrease on AMD. There's AMD right there. All right. And then move along again. So I see AMD. Here's largest call option price decrease, AMD. So we're seeing AMD all over the screen. So AMD is popping up everywhere. And then I've got unusually high call option volume and unusually high put option volume, right? And as I can see here, I've got a lot of stocks, and down here at the bottom, stocks appearing multiple times, right? AMD is on here 6 different times, folks. You know, if you take a look and you move through the area here, you can see AMD on here 6 different times. Baidu's on here in 3 reports. Snap's on 3 reports. And it's just a matter of trying to zero in and see if there's any kind of patterns. And we're working on this. We're working to make this a better graph, first more visually appealing, but then more importantly, as I start clicking on things to try to find stocks that appear multiple times. Can I find stocks that are appearing multiple times and then corral them into a list to try to find out if things are happening that could possibly give us clues to something going higher or something going lower based on what? Volume, open interest, implied volatility, right? So these are some new things we're working on. It's not based on anything brand new we made up. There's always been volume. There's always been implied volatility. We didn't create the implied volatility scale. All right, the Black-Scholes options pricing model really introduced us to that back in the 70s. We just take that information and try to pull data out of it that no one else is seeing. High volume, high open interest, high implied volatility, low implied volatility. And we put all that and work that stuff together. Right, so that's what we're looking at with what's happening with what we call the morning report. All right. So let's talk about cryptocurrency for a few minutes. I can't get out of my live stream without that. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw it to you guys for a little while because I got a little more time than I thought I was going to have today. Let's blow this up and let's take a look at what's going on. Now, I'm looking at coinmarketcap.com. All right. We have a way of being able to go in Tom's option tools, but I thought what I'd do is first show you this in coinmarketcap.com. And so with CoinMarketCap, I see these are the top 3 right now when we look at when I'm looking at market cap. All right. So you've got, first of all, you got Bitcoin, which is over $1 trillion market cap right now, and it's up on the day. You've got Ethereum, which is also up on the day a little bit more. And this is a $200 billion market cap. That's ETH. Binance Coin. This is one that's kind of come up really quickly, too. I remember when Binance Coin, not too long ago, and we were talking about Binance Coin, this was even just a couple of years ago, was a $25 coin. We're talking about 2 years ago, folks. All right, $25 coin, and now it's 10x'd. Right, it's 10x. But, I mean, you know, Bitcoin was $5,000 this time last year, so it has 10x'd also. There's been a 10x in a lot of coins that we've seen happen. All right? And so there you go. That's the ones that we follow. But I follow a lot of coins. If you want to get an idea on the coins that I follow, then first thing you need to do is look at CoinMarketCap and rate these by CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap.com. I'm rating them by market cap. But let's move on. Take a look at number 4. Number 4 is Tether. That's just a way of flipping out of a coin and flipping into a US dollar denominated coin. Cardano is number 5. Right? Jeff says I had never talked about Cardano yet. And he's absolutely right. And the reason why is because the other stipulation that I do with my coins, that I have been doing is one of the ways to, when I started looking at coins. So back up a second. I'm going to make this real quick. 2013, I was mining coins. 2014, I saw the biggest mistake I made. Two biggest mistakes I made. Mistake number one, I stopped mining in 2014. But that wasn't a big mistake. The big mistake I made was not mining Ethereum in 2014 when it first came on the scene and you were able to start mining Ethereum. That was a huge mistake. All right, but you know what? Mistakes, as long as you learn from your mistakes, they're not mistakes, they're just future opportunities. That's what I call these. But Cardano. All right, so Cardano's been around a while. And the thing that I used to do back in 2017 and 2018 and yeah, I mean, literally when I started looking at altcoins in a big way, and that was in 2017, 2018, I did a lot of pouring through white pages, right? So I was looking at white pages and, if you want to know what white pages are, let me just show you examples. So if we go to Ethereum, let me just click on Ethereum, and that's going to actually open up, this this coin market cap to now I'm just looking at Ethereum. And you can see Ethereum right now is up this is moving in percent time. It's up almost 5.5%. We can come over here. You can find out more about Ethereum by going to ethereum.org. You've got explorers, you got the community, you got a little chat where you can see what's going on with Ethereum. White paper. That's where myself and my research team have been going and looking at the altcoins, right? And so I look at the altcoins and I look at the white paper of these to try to get an idea is, do they offer any real intrinsic value in the community? All right. So for instance, Dogecoin I don't believe offers any real value on the coin. So I don't look at Doji. I just don't trade Doji. Now, you can trade it if you want, but I'd rather go to an area where, one of the things I look at is if I want to hold long term, I can hold long term. And I'm a long-term holder of Bitcoin, I'm a long-term holder of Ethereum, and a few others. But the rest of them I look at as a trading object, a way of trading in and out of them. So I would look at this white paper. Now, I can eliminate most of what I'm doing by simply trading coins that are on Coinbase. So if they go on Coinbase.com, Coinbase has done a lot of the research. They already know whether it's valued for their community. So I'm piggybacking off of them and eliminating one big step, right? So that's one thing you can do as well. Let me back up again. And so the reason I bring that up, and this is for Jeff, is that Cardano just last week became part of Coinbase. All right. You know who else became part of Coinbase last week? Was a coin that we have talked about back in. If you've been following me in the crypto world, we talked about StormJ. All right, StorJ, which is a cryptocurrency that offers storage solutions in the community. And what you can do here is if you go to name, you can rank these a number of different ways. I just ranked them by alphabetically, starting with Z's. Yearn Finance. I have Yearn Finance. I'm in this one. Let's move along here. Uniswap. That's another one that I'm in. StormJ. So come down to the S's. Okay, StormJ. Look at what happened. You go, what? Down 17% today. Why would you want to get into that? I'm not saying that I just got into it in the last 24 hours. I'm saying this is one we've talked about long ago. But look what happened. You know what happened this week? They got picked up by Coinbase. And that 206%, that was part of the jump in Coinbase. So this is merely a pullback from everybody that jumped into it when it became part of Coinbase. All right? If you come up here and we rank what's happened in the last 7 days, do the percentage rank in the last 7 days, double click that, you can see StormJ as at the top because it's now part of the Coinbase community. So, biggest news that I heard over the weekend, and Pete, you've got an interesting comment there. Visa's going to approve crypto U.S. coin, so it should pop it up. I'll tell you what helped the Bitcoin community is that I saw some New Zealand retirement fund, a big New Zealand fund that decided to allocate 5% of their fund to Bitcoin. They allocated 5% of their fund to Bitcoin. What did that mean? Well, that means they sold off. They went to 5% in cash and rotated it into Bitcoin as part of their portfolio. That news leaked out over the weekend, and that's what's a little bit of what's been pushing this higher as well. Okay. Gary's got a great comment out here, and it's absolutely true that Binance has climbed up because their new blockchain recently launched, and the reason why is because the gas fees have been on ETH are ridiculously high. You're absolutely right, Gary. It's like you got to go in and it's almost like a schedule of, and think of, guys, when you hear the word gas fee, a lot of you are like, what's he talking about? Just think of it as an exchange fee that changes. It changes during the day. Sometimes the best times to get your gas fees or exchange fees when you're moving in and out of Ethereum is late at night, because that's when they're lower. So good comment. Wanted to pass that along. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. All right. So that's CoinMarketCap, and if I were to come back over and jump into Tom's option tools, let's just go back up to the top here. And I'm going to go to Home, and I'm going to go to Crypto Tools. So what we do is we go over, and let's just take a look at a chart here first. I go to Coinbase, because we can look at charts on all cryptos, Coinbase, Coinbase Pro, and Bitrex. So I go to Coinbase, click on Update, and that brings me into Coinbase. I'm going to show you Bitcoin for a moment, BTC. So here's BTC. This is just the coin looking at, and you can see here, we're looking at a couple different moving averages. That's a chart of Bitcoin. Let's move up it. Let's look at moving average signals. So if I click on that and click Update, now that doesn't change anything. It just shows moving average signals, and I can change my moving averages. One of the moving average signals that I like a lot is the 10, the short as a 10 and the long as a 30, and get an idea there. And you can see that that there's kind of really been this buy up, sell, buy up, and now we're still kind of leaning toward the upside today with Bitcoin moving higher off of last week's pullbacks, right? But what else can we show? Well, right now we see the trend is higher. We see that the moving averages are suggesting that we're moving in the right direction. Are there any darknet signals? Remember, darknet is channel collisions. What's darknet saying? So darknet is also suggesting a buy as of just 4 days ago. The last buy, if you take a look and see what was going on in the chart, well, let's look at the buys on here. The buyback this was at the beginning of the year, around 32,000, ran all the way up into the 40s, and then another buy in the 40s, which took us all the way up into the high 50s. Pullback, buy on Bitcoin again. Now Bitcoin's racing back up. This darknet channels, this particular trade strategy we're using, has been very highly effective in the cryptocurrency environment. And it might be because of the volatility, but also, so another reason that I am long Bitcoin for sure. So we see that in darknet, right? And then we can look at implied volatilities and what have you. The last thing I want to show you is, we talked about this last week, is the moving averages. Let's go ahead and look at a chart of Bitcoin with Fibonacci ratios. Now, we can look at this two different ways. This is the long-term chart. But if we want to start the pullback, you saw a significant pullback here as we moved into the end of January. So if we want to add this, make this the zero line, then let's bring this back to 75 days. And now we're looking at where Bitcoin was trading with this most recent pullback. And you can see here that 30,000, almost 30,423 was the low in the last 75 days. We had a pull up that took us to 61,179. Now take a look at this pullback. Almost got to the 38% retracement and then started climbing out of it. This is another reason why I believe we're going to come up. We're going to take out that 61,179. And what are we going to add on? All right, where do we go from here? What is my next move? What is my next move for cryptocurrency? Where's the extension, the target price, if you will? Well, I believe the target price is more likely going to be, I take the distance between the 38% and where we were on the high. That is roughly about, let's call it 15,000. It's easy math, guys. So what's 61 plus 15? 72, 77. So 72 is 71 is 10, 76, 76, yeah, 76,000. Had to say it 3 times to get the right number. 76,000 would be where the Fibonacci extension would go, just simply by taking the width of these top 2 lines, the distance between those, and adding it to the high. Roughly 76,000 to 77,000 Bitcoin. All right. So let's see if I got anything else on here I wanted to share with you. You know, it's interesting that Bitcoin is now up significantly today. But then when you take a look at something like a Riot blockchain, you know, if I go over here to charts and I take a look at RIOT, Riot is actually down on the day. Now, part of that is because of the earnings report that came out. But a lot more of that is because this thing was overdone to the upside. Everybody knows it. When Bitcoin doubles in value and then this thing quadruples in value during the same time frame, it's running 2x of Bitcoin, it's going to pull back. And that's what's happening right now. I really think for Riot to jump up and move back up to the old highs that we saw, you know, around the $75, $80 area, we're going to need to be at 76 or 77,000 BTC. So if you believe you're going to see a 76, 77 BTC, then Riot might make sense. Let's take a look at Riot as we finish out the day here. And let's take a look at the options on it. So I'm going to go to the option chains on Riot. Now, let's take a look at the option chains that are going to happen in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks, really almost 3 weeks when you take a look at these. Calls on the left, puts on the right. Let's come down and let's open up the call section so we can see what we're looking at here. So, you know, I mean, the 48 calls are $6.28, and this is with an April 16th expiration. So we're talking about something that's going to cost me 15% of the stock price to buy, which means I need the stock to jump at least 15% by April 16th just to break even, right? So that's you know, how do we lower that price? Well, we could spread it. The other thing you could do is if you really want to look at an area where, you know, you can make something you know, out of nothing, a nothing move in Riot. What about selling the puts? The puts can be sold. These puts over here, these 47.5 puts, can be sold for about $6. So you got 6 points of downside protection. The only way I would do that is if I thoroughly believed that there was value in this. If there was value in Riot. There's not value in Riot yet. Riot still needs to pull back a little bit before it becomes a value play. Now, there is one more we could look at, but we can't look at it here. We actually have to go out and look at it on a different chart. But you know what? I can bring it up on my Thinkorswim charts, and that's GBTC. Now, this really shows you, and I mentioned this last week. How many of you in the room listen to the podcast with myself and Chris Johnson? We do them we put them out every Friday. They're out every Friday around 4 p.m. here on the channel. If you listen to the podcast, just give me a yeah, or just put a letter Y in the chat box. Let me know you listen to the podcast, because you listen to the podcast on Thursday, then you knew something. Because I told all of our members on the podcast that if you really like Bitcoin, the real value in Bitcoin is in GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And the reason it's there is because when we look at long-term charts of Bitcoin itself, and then you look at Grayscale was trading, as going into last weekend, was trading at about a 10 to 15% discount to Bitcoin. So coming into this week, it made sense to be a buyer of Grayscale, not Bitcoin, because it's trading at a discount to Bitcoin. All right, so there you go. And there it is right now, up 6%. Right, when you look at, and again, take a look at Grayscale, and then go take a look, and I'm talking about the cash. You know, if we look at cryptocurrency prices, and I'm going to re-rank this by market cap. Bring the big market caps out. up 3.95% in Bitcoin, and again, up 6.35% on GBTC. Again, because now Bitcoin's going up and people are realizing that Grayscale is undervalued. So it's going to be bid up more as the price goes higher. So it's not Riot Blockchain where you want to be if you want to be long Bitcoin and you want it at a value play. It's GBTC. Problem with GBTC? No options. It's a stock play. I can't help you out there if you're an option trader. Okay. Let's do this, guys. So, I would love to stick my shining face on here, and I have no idea why my virtual camera is just not being shown. But I'm going to see if I can throw the virtual camera back up there and put it in play. Let's put a virtual camera. Let me put a camera on the screen, because you know what I want to ask those of you who are in the chat box right now. Any stocks you're interested in me taking a peek at, because I am happy to do so for you at this time, is take a look and see what's going on with again, what's happening in with your stocks. We can take a look at them, see what's going on. I'm still looking for a source to select on the camera. Hang tight with me here. I always end up I get virtual stage fright, everybody. You know what virtual stage fright is? Virtual stage fright is when I can't, when we're live and I'm trying to figure out how to turn a camera on or off. That's what's going on with me right now. Virtual stage fright's happening right now on my camera. You guys should still be able to see my chart. Hopefully you can see the chart on the screen. I'm going to just take myself back to the scene that we have right now, because I don't see it. I'm just going to take myself off the virtual camera. Okay, so you should still see the chart. I still see the chart. It's still there. All right, so what do we got going on here? Boy, we got everybody coming in. Boy, I'm not going to be able to give all these signals out there, but let's go ahead and let's roll through what we can. And I'm actually going to do it in Tom's option tools with you. So let's take a quick peek. And all right, so let's start with, in fact, I got to get back to my actual stock option table. Let's go to stock charts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the channels. So we'll look at channel tests on stocks for the next few minutes here. And I'm going to start with, and it has to be an optionable stock, guys. So I'm going to start with Pete, who wants to look at FCEL, F-C-E-L. I believe that is optionable. I could be wrong. Yes, it is. Now, with FCEL, because it's gone from a $2 stock to a $28 stock, and I haven't had that much time where it's actually had some real charts to be produced. That's why when I go in and I look at these channels and I run the channel test, that's why we're seeing channels all over the place. There we go. This is a little bit better. And so you can see here that this one is still in a downtrend, but is, when I see the channel, the short-term channel getting smaller, it's telling me that the support on this little guy here, and I said little guy because it is going back down, is somewhere down around $6. Let's take a look at Shopify. That's S-H-O-P. S-H-O-P. And I'm going to rattle through these guys as quick as I possibly can. I don't want to spend too much time on them, but let's run the channel tests. Shopify 2 is coming into, wow, isn't that amazing? $1,000. Isn't that amazing, guys? I have to tell you, $1,000 really is the area of support. That's not only because that's a round number, but that's because we're seeing the most of these areas. 1,000 and 900 are where we're seeing channel collisions happening right now on Shopify. Etsy, symbol E-S-T-Y. I'm going to hit that one. I'm going to come down. Oh, Etsy, I spelled it wrong. My bad. E-T-S-Y. I've traded this one. Love this stock. Love the money it's produced for me. Let's get into the channel. And this is, now, I like channels like this. All right? So, As I'm looking on here, Brad, you like Etsy? I like Etsy too, and the reason why is because the long-term channel is up. When I see a long up, an intermediate sideways, and a short down, it gives me reason. Now, we're caught in a little bit of a triangle pattern that's happening between a couple of different channels, but you got long-term support this thing is holding. If it holds the long-term support, then I see us moving higher. The next area of support is going to be down here around $180. That's not because it's a round number, 200 is a round number, but 180 is where you're seeing the intermediate and short-term support happening on this particular stock. Thank you for asking about that, Brad. Let's take a look at GBX. Again, GBX. I could do this all day, but I don't have all day. So I apologize to all of you that are going to ask me for these that I'm not going to be able to talk to you about within here. Take a look at GBX, Greenbrier companies. Same situation. Long-term up, intermediate, short-term. I think we've already hit that support at 44. If we come back down here, that looks even better. But you got a support level right here below 44. Resistance at 50. So this is, I mean, good news. You got a nice strong support at 44. Bad news, he got strong support resistance sitting up there around 50. So Plug Power, next one on the block here. I'm going to skip through a few of them. Again, like I said, I apologize. It's nothing against those that are asking. My eyes are just moving, and I'm focusing on what I know has an optionable to it. This was less than $10 last year. Ran up as high as 70. Unfortunately, it's in the downtrend, but you're going to see a lot of collision happening back here around the $20 to $25 area, and that's where I see Plug Power moving to, all right, based on what we see with the charts. All right, Virginia, we did crude oil at the beginning of the session. I'm going to skip crude. Let me move in NFT stocks that I don't have options on. Roku, absolutely, and we did Tesla early on, so let's look at Roku and PayPal. ROKU. This one comes up on our short-term all the time. We're getting short-term signals on Roku. But take a look here. As you can see, Roku is right on. Roku is bang. Roku, you know, if I were Emil, bam. Roku right there on an area that is support. 300 is support, but it's also got short-term, intermediate, and long-term support channels all kind of colliding together. It wouldn't surprise me if this one also became a dark net pattern real soon. And so that is a very interesting area. 300, though. I mean, you know what? I'm going to end with Roku, guys, because I want to show you a couple. I want to move forward into what I look at when I move forward with Roku. So, you know, after we spot an opportunity, if an opportunity comes along, and it's a rules-based opportunity, next thing I want to do is I want to create that alternative risk strategy. So we can look at a few of these. Again, options, option chains. Let's go straight to Roku, and let's go out and look at the May options. Maybe we need to get out there to May 21st. That's the third Friday in May. I'm going to update with that. And you know what? Let's go out and look at 20% above where the stock price is right now. Here we go. Calls on the left, puts on the right. Let's blow it up. So a May 21st 300 call going to cost you $28.70, and that's if you can get the mid price, the difference between the bid and the offer. All right, we see that. Now, I'm looking at that, and I'm saying to myself, all right, that's the most expensive option we've talked about here today on the live stream. But do you know this is a cheaper option than the last one we looked at? Was the one that I was looking at was 15%. Riot Blockchain. Riot Blockchain's option was 15% of the stock price, and that was expiring in April. This one goes out another month, and it's less than 10%. Still high in my perspective, but low in terms of the stock, the chart itself. But how low is it? I mean, how low is this IV? Well, the way we want to look at that is I want to go back to a chart. I want to go back to a chart of Roku. Let's go take a look at stock charts. Let's go back and look at Roku again, ROKU. And what I'm going to do is I want to look at that stock, but I want to look at the IV. I want to see the implied volatility of now. Look here. So Roku had high IV just before its earnings. Then the IV dropped right after the earnings, and now we're starting to climb again. The reason why this is on the climb is because Roku has fallen. It's nowhere near expensive, but it is coming off of cheap. So it tells me that maybe buying a call option if you're bullish might not be the best thing to do. Maybe looking at a spread makes sense. So if we were going to buy, for instance, and this is not an endorsement, I'm not a financial advisor, all right? I'm not an investment advisor. Just showing you how it is that I look through these things. If I'm looking at the 300s and maybe I sell the 320, if I'm looking at buying the 300 calls, selling the 320 calls, what's that going to look like on a graph? Well, I already know how much the stock's going to cost me at $300. Stock's going to cost me it's going to cost me for 10,000 shares at 300. All right, we're talking about $300,000. To buy the options, we're talking about $2,800. But if we look at the spread, now the spread's getting us down to something that makes a little more sense. So for instance, if I were to buy the 300 calls for $2,870 and I were to sell the 320 calls for $2,125, and those are mid prices, then I'm looking at an option spread. One contract going to cost me $745, right? So that is about a third, no, 1/4 of the price of buying the actual 300 call itself. I've been able to shave off over 75% of that call by selling the one that's 20 points higher. That gets me down quite a bit. The second thing it does is that it allows this stock to move, and although, you know, if you buy the stock at 300, your break even is 300. If you buy the call spread with 300 on the low side and your target's going to be higher, your break even is going to be the strike price plus the debit you paid. So the strike price is now your break even is 307.45. Okay, 307. You know, you're looking at $7.40. 307, $307.45. So the stock has to be at or above 307.45 to be at break even, but you have until May, that third Friday in May, May 21st, to be precisely correct on that. So that's another way of looking at this. One more way I can look at it is that if I really want to buy the stock, how about potentially, let's clear all this out. Show you one more here as we round out our live stream. What if we were to go to those options once again and look at the puts? Puts on Roku. The 295, the 295 puts. All right, you can get $30.25 for those, right? But even come down to the 250s. The 250 puts are $11.70. All right, so if I did a -1 here and I sold a put at the 250 strike, what this means is that I'm going to be paid $1,170. $1,170 to sell this put option at that strike price. Now, what that also does is that would force me to buy the stock only if the stock traded below 250 and was below 250 by May 21st. Then I'd be forced to own the stock at 250. I'm getting paid $11.75 to own the stock at 250. All right. Now, this is what I call a naked put. But if you do this with cash, if you were going to buy the stock at $300 and you had the cash to buy it at $300, then you should have the cash to buy it at $250. It'll cost you a lot more cash. And that's called cash secured puts, where you're getting paid up front, where someone else can force you to buy the stock at $250. Stock's going to come down below $250 to buy it, but you still get paid. You still keep the payday whether the stock is above $250 or below $250. So if you take that $11.70 and subtract that from $250, you've got a downside break even. You don't lose money on this trade unless Roku is trading at or below $238.30 on May 21st. That puts you in a higher probability trade. The probability is you're probably not going to be able to buy the stock at $250. But if it does come down below $250, you still got $11.70 below that number, all right? And so there's another area we look at on our trades, and that's down here. We have a way you put your trade plans in, But below that, you can see something called statistical probability. Do you see the probability? Right there. The probability of profit on this, looking at statistics, looking at mathematics, this tells me that at 0 days to expiration, we have an 84% chance that you're going to have some sort of a profit that comes out of this trade based on statistics, based on the fact that, if you look at the market goes backwards and it says, hey, this is what Roku has done. If it stays in its range that it's been in, up and down, 84% chance we're going to be above that, the 250 level. When? By May 21st. So that's what we're looking at here. All right. Somebody out here is begging me to look at MSTR. Let's look at MSTR real quick, but I'm actually going to look at it just on the graph. All right, I'm actually going to look at it on a stock graph. Stock charts, historical charts. I'm way past the amount of time I was planning on doing this live stream for, guys, but you know what? And I do need to run because I do have something else I've got to be at like now. But I'm going to end it right here. So MSTR. Let's put that up. And that is MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has had a nice big move up from the 150 range up to, 1,300 before pulling back. Applied volatility is still on the high side. It's been low. The low's been down around 40. The high's been about 160. The options are expensive. They're not super expensive, but they're not cheap either. Right? What's it look like on a channel test? Because that's kind of important to look at too. Oh my goodness, the channel. Okay, when you see a long-term channel widening out like this supports the idea that these options are getting expensive. But what I also see is I see that wide intermediate term. It's hard to get support levels when they're this low. I can only look at the short-term graph. And because we've come down, we've bounced off of a short-term area. So your new area of support on MicroStrategy is around 600. It's also held that area pretty good in terms of closes. It's closed above 600. I'd be nervous if it goes below 600 because if it goes below 600, the next area down on the channel is going to be down here near 400. But it's trying to trend back. I would look at the area at around, what is that, 750 level looks like the area of support if we do continue to move higher. So maybe about $100 higher up, and and then if it breaks below 600, it closes below 600, that could spell more further downside. All right, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Hey, sorry I couldn't throw my face on the screen. It's always something every time I do these live streams. Here's what I'm planning on doing going forward with live streams. I will post that I'm going to go live at noon every Monday. All right? I will not preset it. And so what's going to happen is on Monday at noon, I will go live plus or minus a few minutes getting that thing started. Therefore, we don't have these kind of problems like we had at the beginning of this live stream. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the live stream. I'll see you on next Monday. Plus, keep in mind, we got some stuff that's going to go out below the description, which you're going to love. If you want that TTR merchandise, it's out there for you. We've got face masks. I know we're coming out of wintertime, so forget the sweatshirt, but some really nice tees as well. And we put those down where shipping, I believe, is free. We got a free shipping code for you, too. And let me mention this, too, all right? We do monetize these videos, all right? I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that we don't. What I will tell you is that the money that we make on these videos, that and much, much more, actually goes out as charitable donations. So I want to make sure that you guys all know that too. Thank you so much for hanging out and being a loyal part of this. Do me one more favor before you move, guys. If you haven't yet, and it's my bad for not saying this, like this video. Give me some likes out there. I don't have as many likes today because I haven't been talking about it. And if you're new with us and you want to get our videos, I'll have a video out tomorrow that we're going to be doing. I think we're going to be talking about how to profit on the Suez Canal reopening. The Suez Canal, not the Sewage Canal, the Suez Canal. All right, so I'll talk about that as well. And we'll not only get into that, but again, I've got another podcast that's going to be coming at the end of the week. So Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Please like the video, subscribe if you want to get more videos like this, and ding that notification button. That way you'll know when the next video is coming out. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye now.